all you Bob Dylan bobbleheads, how's it going? Well, as you can see, this is all Bob Dylan here today. It's going to be a short one. I picked up a couple of Dylan albums I've been wanting, you know, help fill out what I already had was the 60s trilogy, which, you know, that's these albums here are just essential. But I picked up a couple of more that were big time on my list. So I'm pretty stoked about it. I got them here locally in town, and I think they came from the same guy. So I got a good deal on them, pretty damn good deal on them. Especially the first one I'm going to show. They had it out for half of what it should have been. I think whoever priced it just didn't take the time to, you know, narrow it down to the correct pressing. They just picked one and went with it. So I got it for half price. Plus 20% off on top of that. So I got it pretty damn cheap. So let's get started with it. The one that I was just talking about is the Freewheeling Bob Dylan. This is a early stereo first pressing, Terre Haute, Indiana pressing. A really nice VG Plus copy. It has, and no, this is not the $35,000 version with the 4 different songs that were removed. It's not that. But, you know, once I did see the cover, I was at a record show, probably over 20 years ago. And this guy walked up to, you know, I had a table out, I was selling. This guy walked up to me and said, "Hey, do you know anything about this?" And he handed me this Dylan Freewheeling album. And it had the 4 rare tracks listed on the cover. But when I pulled the record out, it just seemed like the normal standard version, you know, the song titles weren't on the labels or anything like that. So I didn't know much about that album at that time. So I always wondered all these years, man, did that guy hit gold or was it just the cover? So I think from the research I've been doing lately, he just had found the cover. The vinyl itself with the 4 songs, extremely rare. It never even got out to the general buying public. And although some covers have turned up. And the ones that have been found with the 4 extra tracks had the standard cover with it, which is odd, but still to have the original cover, I mean, that was a good find that guy got. But anyway, yeah, this is just the standard, but it's fine with me. It's got the 4 songs that I think that they added to the album, which was more newly recorded. So in Columbia really wanted to push those 4 songs on this album to make it better. And I believe they were Blowing in the Wind, Masters of War. If you've never heard that song, it is just bone chilling. If you never heard it, check it out. And Don't Think Twice, It's Alright. And then I think the other one that they put on there was Hard Rain. Yeah, Hard Rain's Gonna Fall. I think that's what it is. But this one, you know, it's got the revised liner notes on the back. For Don't Think Twice, It's Alright, they list the sessions players, which is erroneous. So that was later on, it was those sessions players were removed from that track description. So let's get down to the vinyl. Let me pull this sucker out. Really nice, clean VG Plus copy. And it is on the black 360 sound label without the arrows. And like I said, this is a Terre Haute, Indiana pressing. So, man, I was just really stoked to get this. Sounds really good in stereo. Like I'd had the mono in my collection, and I'd always wanted the stereo, so scored it. Yeah, this is the album that pretty much broke Dylan out into the public, where everybody realized that this guy was extremely talented and was definitely going places. It changed the perception of what a good singer is also. Up until this point, if you heard somebody with Dylan's voice, you would just think they were just a terrible singer. But with his voice, his songwriting, and his style, it all gelled. And it really was magic. I just loved 60s Dylan. It's just so good. So I was really happy to get this one. Now the next one is, it was a pretty big grail for me. One that I could afford, and one that I definitely wanted for a long time. And it's Bob's self-titled album, and this was released in, I got it written down here, March 19th, 1962. The album itself was recorded in late 1961, and so I got a nice stereo copy of this. And it just so happens it is a early pressing on a 6i label. My favorite label of all time, by the way. Now notice the font on the label, okay? You got Bob Dylan on one line, and you've got two songs up above a spindle hole. So that indicates it's a little bit later of a pressing, but it's still 6i. 6i for the first Bob Dylan album was not in print all that long. There are some variants on the label. Like I guess the very earliest label had Bob Dylan on two lines, and all the songs were below the spindle hole. Okay, I guess that's the earliest press. And then there's also a version with Bob Dylan on one line. No, wait a minute. Yeah, one line, like this one, and only one song above the spindle hole. Now, I searched high and low on Discogs trying to find this variant, and I could not find it. All the versions that are on Discogs have Bob Dylan, as far as the one with Bob Dylan on one line, they have one song above the spindle hole. Mine has two. So that's a totally different variant that's not listed, so it's kind of odd. This is just really nice condition. It wasn't cheap, but I got 20% off on it, so I got a good deal. Real clean. It's got a little paper rub on both sides, a few scattered hairlines here and there, you know, as seen under a bright light. But it's a great copy. I'm just so happy to get this, and it come with this inner sleeve. I'll get it out. I guess this is the earliest version of the sleeve. I don't know. I thought the blue one was the earliest, but I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with this version. But this one has got the blue. Now I know this came with some of these in this one. But I don't know if this was like really short-lived or what the story is, but you know, this is what was in it and this is what's going to stay with it. So anyway, this album, if you've never heard it, it's really cool because he sings in an aggressive, urgent style on some of these songs that he would not do again on later Bob Dylan albums. It's really unique, and it's just so cool. So if you never heard this album, check it out. You know, I've heard people say they loved it. I've heard people say that, you know, it's not that good. It's not something you're going to want to listen to very often. I disagree. I could see myself pulling this out quite a bit, really, because it's just so different. I love the aggressive style that he uses on some of the songs on this album. And I love that front cover of him. He's like 20 years old there. He's all baby-faced. So, yeah, very, very cool. So I guess that's going to do it for this showing for today. And Halloween's coming up here in a few days, and I've got my Halloween decoration up. You know, it's low budget, but you know, whatever. Well, I guess it's time for my boot heels to be wondering. So everybody take care. Yeah, actually, it's my my socks to be wondering.